Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Moms Like Me, powered by SupportNow. I am so excited for our next guest, who I've met through good old Instagram. Instagram can have a lot of purposes, but one of my favorite purposes, for at least for SupportNow, is the ability for us to connect with some pretty incredible moms that aren't just wonderful mothers, but are really trailblazing all the ways of supporting kids, especially those going through things that are a little less traditional or a little less understood. And in this case, Tameka has a beautiful daughter, Evely, who has a rare disease. And in addition to being a mom of her and helping her and supporting her, she's also done some really beautiful things to help further serve that community. So first of all, Tameka, welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, Jordan.
It's a real pleasure. Tameka's also a Southern girl, so I get to talk to another Southerner here, which is great. But first, Tameka, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about your family and about Evely specifically.
Well, it is myself and 3 girls. I have Luna is my oldest. She's 10. Evely is the middle child. She will be 9 in just a couple of short weeks. I cannot believe that. And my youngest is Sky. She's 7. So we are a house of girls. We homeschool. We're a homeschooling family. And Evely is my fragile child with several actually rare diseases.
So why don't you share with everyone what those diseases are and maybe the kind of the impairments that come with that?
So up until the day that Evely was born, I was under the impression that I was giving birth to a baby that was healthy. And on the day that she was born, December 23rd, I learned several hours. Evely was born in the morning, and I learned several hours later that Evely was born with something called bilateral anophthalmia. And that means that she was born without both of her eyes. And that was a lot for me to process in that moment. I obviously fully aware that people are born blind all the time. However, for someone to not actually have eyes was a lot for me to process during that moment. It was a total shock.
Wow. Yeah. To your point, you hear about blindness, you hear about a lot of different impairments. Born without eyes is not one. And you said that this was a shock. This was not detected at all. There was no indication signals and ultrasounds and the different doctor's appointments.
Nothing. I mean, nothing at all. Every appointment, it was like a constant reassurance that everything was good. Everything was okay. And I had already done it before, so I felt ready. I felt prepared. I physically kind of, knew what to expect, and I was ready, but I wasn't.
Yeah. You thought you were.
And honestly, like about the whole process, processing, I don't think it ever fully ends. I think we just kind of evolve with it. It's extremely overwhelming in the beginning, especially when there's not a ton of information about the diagnosis that your child has received, especially when, the healthcare professionals that are giving you this information that you're trusting to assist with care for your child when they don't know a whole lot. And that's really, really, really scary because there's so many unknowns and uncertainty that comes with that. And I think that for a mom, that's super scary. That's the this worst thing, worst case. However, I will say this. A few short months after Evely was born, her anophthalmia diagnosis was immediately went to the bottom of the totem pole because I left the hospital with her after spending 5 days in the NICU. I gave birth to her at a birthing center, and once she wasn't responding to any of the the eye test and stuff like that, we were transferred over to our local hospital, which was right up the street, not far at all. The thing about this kid is that she has never presented, like, symptoms in a traditional way for any of the diagnoses. So, fast forward a few months later, now we're in a hospital, 3 hours away from home, would end up being there for 30 days because her heart is failing. So when you have heart failure on the table and then CHD and abnormalities of the heart, then yeah, blindness doesn't seem so it doesn't seem so bad anymore. And from then, it was just kind of like one thing after another after another. She would later be diagnosed with microcephaly. She would later be diagnosed with EOE. She would later be diagnosed with low muscle tone. She would later be diagnosed with a global developmental delay because of the microcephaly. She would later on be diagnosed with a rare form of epilepsy. Um, Later on, every single year she's turning 9, and every single year it's been another piece to the puzzle. I feel like I've learned something about her each year, and it's just like I said, all the unknowns. There's no handbook, and like not only is there's no handbook, but like the professionals aren't even really able to help you in a way that you need to help. Like as far as like a genetic diagnoses for her, she's still undiagnosed. So her diagnosis is unknown. So it's kind of like you're walking through this dark tunnel, and you don't really know what's ahead of you. So
Tameka, to be direct, it sounds very lonely.
it's extremely isolating because of its rare, the rareness. There's nobody in our neighborhoods that are, or in our communities, that are saying, yeah, I can tell you this, or I've gone through this. Oh yeah, my child was born with anophthalmia. Oh yeah, my child, was born with this rare disease. And that's where it really, 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 the isolation can really take over, because not only is it isolating on the side of when you have a child with medical complexities. It's isolating because you have to be away from everything and everyone to keep them safe and to keep them alive. But it's also isolating from a mental aspect as well, because no one really knows all the things that you're going through.
I can't imagine. And I must ask, how did you handle that? How did you push forward? How did you have the motivation, the fortitude, despite the loneliness? And how have you been able to kind of support yourself? You're also a single mom. So, I mean, I look at you and I say, how is it possible?
Mm.
So how has it been possible for you?
It's not easy. Uh, let's just say let's just say that. So it's so hard. It's really, really hard. However, you you find it in you for your children. You find what you need inside. In the first 5 years of Emily's life, a lot of it is, a lot of that is a blur, to be honest, because you're just, before I was able to process one thing, something else was happening, process one thing and something else was happening. So, that is kind of how and why I began to create the community for moms like me, for families that look like my family, because it is isolating. And in the world of rare disease, you might not always necessarily find other families that has the same diagnoses as your children, but the struggle is the same. The fears are the same. The loneliness is the same. The isolation is the same. We all go through the same struggles. The anxiety, the PTSD, the depression, all of that is is the same. So you find the will, you find the strength, you find fight within you for your child, because your child is depending on you to show up every single day.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. You don't have to have the exact diagnosis. You have to understand the mindset and the lifestyle.
And they do. And other families with I haven't met, other families that have a umbrella of diagnosis that look like Emily's, but I have been fortunate enough to connect with and build a community with other families who understands all the struggles that come with having children diagnosed with rare diseases, and know how frustrating it is to not be able to, kind of lean in always when it comes down to healthcare professionals. So I've learned more from other medical moms whose children are much older than Evely, than I have from any hospital textbook or whatever, regarding her diagnoses, because they're actually living it every single day.
Yeah, and no one's advocating for your kid more than a parent, more than a mom. So as much as the professionals might know more things academically, no one will fight like someone like yourself, because it's your kid.
Absolutely.
The other thing you said that really struck a chord with me, because I think it's forgotten and it's important. What you describe, I think everyone got a taste of in COVID, right? Everyone got a taste of what your everyday has looked like since she was born. So in some ways, COVID was the great equalizer for all people, that now everyone understands what it's like to have to be careful and cautious and
Mhm.
aware of your proximity towards medically fragile children or elderly, things of that sort. And that is your everyday, regardless of a pandemic.
Honestly, the COVID year there were so many things that I realized that year. I think that was the year that I realized and was faced with the fact that my life is a pandemic. So, because COVID happens and then all of these things are in place and nothing about my life changes. So many people are going through all of the things that came with COVID, and it's causing all of these issues, and whether it's mental, whether it was plans, whatever it was that they had, going on that they couldn't have. It was just like this whole pandemic happened around the world and my life never changed.
That had to be so profound for you.
It really was. That's because by this time, by 2020, Evely is 5. So it was like, wow. Like it really was one of the most profound things. And I truly think that because of that, that's where like the healing journey for within me was really able to start, because I had to say, okay, this is my life. This is what it looks like no matter what's going on in the world or not. So I have to surrender to what is, and I have to accept what is, and I have to meet my child exactly where she is. And in order for me to be able to have these little moments where we celebrate these little I like to call them inch stones, to celebrate these moments, I have to surrender. So you asked how I did it. Like that was it. It was the realization. It was realizing, not just realizing and accepting that this is my life.
I want to stop you there, though, because I think a lot of people rush to get to acceptance, right? And that journey to get there is very hard. And I also think that a lot of people can fool themselves into thinking that they have accepted their reality. So I want to like sit there for a second, because acceptance is hard. My guess is you've given up a great deal of what you thought your life would look like.
Oh yeah.
And so I want you to talk about that, because I think that's really healthy for people to say, because you almost have to acknowledge all the things that you are maybe no longer able to do. Now, that doesn't mean other things don't evolve. So talk to me about that part of it?
Grief. So here we go. Grief is a major part of this journey. It settles in, and it doesn't go anywhere. And when it comes down to acceptance, you don't just get to reach acceptance and then that's it. No, it is a conscious decision that you have to do over and over. It is something that you have to surrender time and time and time again, because you grieve the life that you thought you would have. You envision a family that you thought you would have. I know what I thought my family would look like. I know what I thought I'd be able to do with my children. So even though I fiercely love the life that we have because there's so much beauty in this journey, I think that, any moms that are feeling that, it's okay to admit that it's not what you imagined. It's not the life that you imagine. And sometimes it's hard to even say it out loud because moms, we tend to have guilt about every single thing, but it's the truth. Like, yeah, it is the truth. I never envisioned, having a child that was disabled, having a child that was non-speaking, having a child that was medically fragile, having a child that we spend, more time in hospitals than anything. And there's so much that comes with that. There's so much that you have to work through. There's a part of this journey where I used to envy parents whose biggest concern was a runny nose or a scraped knee or so it's surrendering over and over, because even though I've come to where I can say that I've accepted the way things are, doesn't mean that I still can't or won't be triggered by the life that I envisioned before.
I think the medically fragile world, the medical mamas, for instance, it's such a tight-knit community. And part of why it's a tight-knit community is, of course, the numbers. Like, the numbers are, it's just less probable that people will have those things. And I'm really curious to know from your perspective, what are the things that people can do for not just, children like Everly, but also moms like you? What are the things that are actually helpful to you that supporters can know with confidence that they're doing something meaningful?
Listening, you know, is is great. We'll start there. So sometimes medical moms just need to vent about certain things. We're not necessarily wanting you to have an answer. We don't want you to have a solution. We just want to be able to get this out and just release it, so to speak, so that you can move on. Um Practical help. Um Meals are so underrated. Some of the biggest things, so the mental load that a medical mom has. So moms already have an insane mental load, and then now you throw in appointments and therapies and medications and research and developmental things that you're trying to keep up with or keep track of. Whether you're tracking, if you have a child that uses a G tube, you're constantly monitoring, counting calories and all of these things. So in those moments, it's amazing just how helpful somebody randomly, and I've had friends to do this time to time, and they have no idea how much it means to me. Well, they'll randomly say, "Oh, we're gonna DoorDash dinner for you and your kids tonight," and it's just like the one. It's practical, and anybody can do it. This is running errands. Picking up pharmacy pickups, helping out with their other children, asking about their other children. I really appreciate those friends. I appreciate people who check in on Luna and Sky and say, how are they doing? What do they have going on in their world? Because so many people, you're so used to all kinds of things. Check in on us regularly. Continue to invite us to things even though we can't come. Um, like it's just to know that we're still being thought of, we're still wanted in certain spaces, because that's where the isolation and stuff comes back in. I know that my friends know. I just had a girlfriend call me the other day, and she said, "Hey, I know you guys don't go out this time of year, but I wanted to call and let you know that I'm having, a Christmas dinner. There won't be a ton of people. There won't be this, there won't be that. I know that it's very likely that you won't be able to come, but I just wanted you to know that I would love for you to be there if you could." And it means so much because there are so many people that were in my life at the beginning of this journey that isn't in my life now. And then so on top of the whole grieving process that you go through for your child, now you're grieving the loss of these relationships and you're grieving the loss of these friendships. So just even if it's a text that says, "I'm thinking of you," it goes a long way. I think that people don't know the power behind the little gestures. Anything that you can think of to support emotional needs. I was gifted this little this like Mandela coloring book for hospital stays once, and it was very useful. Celebrate the small wins with these moms. Like, go crazy, for these things. I know that we celebrate things that other parents are just like, that's not a big deal, but it's a big deal for us. Your child holding a spoon could be a small win, and I think that just having a community in a village of people rallied up around cheering, knowing that there are people cheering you on, cheering your kids on, just if you feel comfortable enough, to offer respite to those moms, that's also very, very beautiful. Anybody that's willing to say, one of the things that's meant the world to me, I have a friend that says, "Every time you let me come over, I want you to teach me something about how to care for Everly so that while I'm here, I can help you and I don't just have to sit back and watch you do everything."
So I want to pause right there for a second. Good. I think this is incredible. And there's so many things here that's so actionable, which I think is so important. One of the other things that I think of, though, is how do you actually, or how have you taken care of yourself? What are some of the rituals or habits that you've developed over the way, or along the way, rather, that have allowed you to stay, frankly, sane?
Therapy has helped tremendously. I have had to learn how to set boundaries with myself, Jordan. And
I can imagine.
yes, okay. This life, it can consume you. It really can consume every part and every aspect of your life. So when I say I learned how to set boundaries for myself, one of the greatest gifts that I've ever given for myself was creating a space in my home that was just for me. My house is dedicated to my children. So we got the homeschool area. My downstairs in my house looks like a PT room. It looks like it looks like a therapy room. Like all the therapists, all everybody in the medical field that has come into my house, they love it, you know. So, but I took my a space, and I'm not sure if I've shared this with you, but I actually have an ebook where I shared how I took a space, had something in this space that I love that connect with each of my five senses. So something that I love to look at, my favorite scent, something to read that's encouraged, something to like. So it's like this little space that's just for me and it's mine. So anytime I need a moment, I know that that little rescue piece of chocolate is there for me. I know that there is this beautiful oracle deck that I have that is there for me. I know that there's flowers that I have in the space that are there for me. So that's a way that I've shown up for myself. And when I say set boundaries, medical stuff was everywhere all the time. So when it's time for my day to end, I cannot have anything medically related in my room. No paperwork that needs to be signed, no research stuff, nothing out, because that time is solely for me.
That's powerful, though, the idea of like setting a physical boundary of this is a space that will not be occupied by anything related to this. This is a space solely for me. I think that's, again, also it's very practical. And I can see very quickly how it also lets you kind of reorient to you, because as moms, and especially in a situation like yourself, you're kind of constantly on.
You're constantly on. And there's so many times that you need something in a moment that I can't get a therapist. I can't go out and get a massage right now. My kid needs me. I can't go out for a walk or a run or a bike ride or whatever because my kid needs me. I can't do this. I can't do anything outside the house. This is a way that I can show up for myself even when I can't get out of the situation, even when I can't get away.
I think it's incredible. I think it's so smart. It makes a lot of sense. And I think that's a practical tip, even for non-medical moms, by the way, that just need a break from all the kid stuff in general. If you're in a phase of life where you've got young kids and toddlers, like that's just a good, healthy practice. And I smirk only because you talk about setting boundaries, yet you're a single mom, you've got 3 little girls, you're homeschooling. In your spare time, you decided to spin up a nonprofit. So you really are incredible, and I would love for you to share more about your organization.
Through Emily's eyes, obvious, so through Emily's eyes, we serve families that look just like ours, families who have kids on rare medical journeys. And I think one of the things, that makes us so unique is that obviously, I have the cheat codes. I know exactly what the needs are because I'm in it. So I know how to serve and show up for families like mine because I'm in it. And we serve the entire family. We really hone in on mental and emotional well-being of the entire family. So there's 3 programs with Through Emily's Eyes. And initially it started out as advocacy. Because we're homeschoolers, we spend a lot of time at the library and stuff like that. And there was nothing there that was accessible for children like Emily. There was no Braille books, no sensory books. So I'm bringing stuff to the library with us. And that's kind of how it started. It started with little projects like that, like going up against local government saying, hey, these children matter and they deserve to have access to information as well. And from there, it just grew and grew and grew. And now it's grown into a nonprofit organization that has 3 successful and amazing programs, one geared for medical moms, where we have resources for medical moms. We are trying to grow in a space where we can provide more respite for them. We provide mental health services for medical moms in little group activities so that they can be reminded that they're not alone in this. We had a great time together at a rage room here. I thought that would be a great place for medical moms to just go and smash, smash stuff, let out all that frustration. We have a support for siblings. Shortly after one of Emily's diagnoses, I remember reading an article that taught all about glass siblings, the invisible sibling, and my heart broke, and I never wanted Luna or Sky to ever feel that. So I was very intentional with the sibling support program. We provide reflective counseling for siblings. It's their journey too. They see some very traumatizing things as well. We have programs for them to connect. And then we also have an immunity play program that allows the whole entire family to come together and create memories in a safe way, because our rare babies don't get to go out in certain spaces. I've partnered with a few organizations that have been willing to have private events just for us. We go in and have everything sanitized, and disinfected, and we limit it to a certain amount of people, and they get to come and make memories with each other outside of a hospital setting or a therapy session. And so yeah, so somehow in the midst of all the other things, we're doing that too, and it's growing. And I've just been um loving, loving the feedback that we've been getting from the community, and people, the children, the moms, everybody's feeling less alone, and that's the main goal.
Well, I know for anyone listening, they are thinking to themselves, how can I support her? What is the website, or where is the best way that people can give or find out ways that they might be able to be involved?
Through EvelysEyes.org is where we have all of the information about how you can get involved, whether it's volunteering, whether it is donating, whether it's sharing. All of the information is always there. We update on our social media pages on Instagram and Facebook as well, and it's also at Through Everly's Eyes. But the website, subscribing to our website is the best way because, like Jordan said, I am a one woman show.
I don't know. I don't know that I believe you when you say that.
Subscribing to my website, I promise you won't get over bombarded with unnecessary emails because I don't even have the time to send them. So, so I make time for the important stuff. So yeah, you can meet us over there.
Tameka, you are such light, and I I have so enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you, me
I
too.
find it so inspiring, and I know others will as well. I also know that what it must feel like for Everly to have you as a mom, because she may not be able to see you, but man, I know she feels your
Mm,
heart and all your efforts, and
mm.
I know your other girls do as well. And
Thank
I could get choked up because
Yeah, I'm
because
like, "Okay, Jordan."
Tameka, though, you are light, and it's a really beautiful reminder of resilience. And the word that you used over and over again today that I will take with me for the rest of today is surrender. It's a really powerful word. It's an important word, and I just feel so grateful to have the opportunity to get to know you better and to be able to potentially offer a place for more people to find you and to support families like you. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Last moment here, I did want to encourage, if you know someone who has a rare disease, a family like Tameka, or maybe you're going through it yourself, Support Now is always there as a resource. As Tameka mentioned earlier, part of the value of the service that we provide is being able to provide a space, whether that be raising money, coordinating meals, or all those everyday things. So supportnow.org is also a really beautiful place to rally community. And again, it is our goal, our mission, our heart to continue to provide the tools and the resources while also providing some thought leadership from women like Tameka. So thank you again. Look forward to many more conversations.
Yes, thank you.